So once again, an official good evening to all students, and welcome to the NEBOSH, General Certificate in Occupational Safety and Health. There's a lot to say about it, and I guess we can start by saying who I am. I am Mr. Samuel Shadrach, and I am the head of the course provider for the Shadrach Safety Institute. And who we are, so we are the largest course provider and the longest running course provider for the NEBOSH courses in the Caribbean and South America. We have been working with the New Guyana schools since before the pandemic, in fact, but 2019, in fact, which was almost a year before the official pandemic. And you all are definitely not the first or second or third or fourth or fifth class. I would have lost count what batch you all are, because every year we do a couple of cycles. We have done two for this year already. So I can say that you all are the third batch for 2024, right? And so please take a note. Um, what we offer, and if you can look at the background here, what we offer is not just one qualification, right? So the Shadrach Safety Institute doesn't just offer the NEBOSH General Certificate, right? And so by now you're probably picking up that NEBOSH, if you want to start taking something down, so NEBOSH is not just one course, right? So you hear people say, we want to do NEBOSH, right? We want to do NEBOSH, but NEBOSH is not really one course. So it's a range of courses and it goes to a master's degree. If you want, I can click this and I'll show you. So are you all seeing the background? I mean, sometimes I have to ask because sometimes what we see is not what you see. So, okay, very good. So if you click this, so this is NEBOSH's homepage. And you could just let me know if you all are seeing, the next screen, because sometimes it doesn't change for you all either. What you should be seeing is awards, like a flow diagram, awards, certificate, diploma, masters. Are you all seeing that? Very good, Cassie. Yeah, so if you're seeing that, so that's who we are, and that's what we offer, right? We offer the NEBOSH brand of courses from a beginner's level, like what I did today, right? I did some firewatch training, and we can call it beginner's level, right? We offer things like first aid and scalpel training and stuff. But other than that, the Institute offers the NEBOSH courses from the beginner's level to like a master's degree. Now, do you need to do all the levels? The answer is no, right? So you can take some notes down. The most demanded level is the one that you all are doing, right? The most demanded, let me just get my marker again. The most demanded level is the general certificate. And this one is actually accredited in the UK. Now, there's another version of NEBOSH that is not quite accredited in the UK, right? They refer to that as the IGC qualification. So the IGC qualification is good in Guyana, but it's not good in England and it's not good in Trinidad, right? So what we offer the full program or the accredited program or the one that's in demand, and that is the general certificate, the main course anyway, that NEBOSH has, right? And this is referred to as a level 3 qualification. And there is level 4 and there is level 5, and the degree is actually level 6, right? You do not have to do any of these, the further levels that you don't have to do it for employment, or you can do it for yourself. You can do it for yourself, right? But you don't have to do the other levels then to gain employment, to become a safety manager. Possibly you need to get the diploma for a manager, but to become a safety officer, to become a safety advisor, right? Some companies say advisor instead of officer. What you need is a NEBOSH level 3, right? And there are many students. I have some on my phone from my last batch of students. I would eventually play them for you. Now, I don't want to do it today because today is our first day, right? But I can share with you, maybe some of you know them. I have many students from Guyana.
Does the other levels get you a higher pay?
I don't think the other levels are in demand in Guyana, like level 4. Like I've never seen a vacancy in Guyana asking for level 4. Um, but the answer to the question is yes, right? The answer to the question is yes, right? I was thinking whose story to share. Um, well, I had a student, she was in the oil and gas too, Nikisia. Um, I have pictures with her because when I was in Guyana in February, she took me around, right? Took me across to the just forgive me if I say the wrong thing, right? She took me across to the bridge. I think there's a mall across there. There's a mall there. The mall is actually open on a Sunday. And anyway, this was in February. So Nikisia was a teacher. Listen to what I'm telling you. She was a teacher because when she did the NEBOSH, she was saying the teachers are getting a very low salary in Guyana. So she did the NEBOSH to get it into safety, right? This is February this year talking about, right? When she met me in Guyana, February, she met me, the day she met me, she was in a coverall, right? She came with a coverall. And I said, well, I mean, aren't you teaching, right? And she said, yes, but she took a day off that day and she went on interview, right? A safety interview, a HSE interview. So today, Nikisia is a safety advisor in a company, better salary. She seems happy. I haven't really, I mean, I have her in another course, right? So for Cassie, she's actually doing the process safety course, which is level 4, but it's not as if it is a requirement of the job. Some people, they do like, like when you get into something, you kind of like it. So she has gone on to the level 4, um, and she's actually completed the level 4 and she's just awaiting results. But the demand then, right? The demand in Guyana, the demand in Trinidad. I'll prove this to you if I have the time. And I wouldn't have all the time today, but we have many other days in the next 4 months on a Monday and a Tuesday evening, right? Um, so her life is different. And this week, no, sorry, last week, because today is Monday, right? A student, but I can't seem to find. I have about 100 students in school, right? I have 100 students in the school at the moment. So, but I think it's Richard. He sent me a voice note and he said, since he got his result, he got promoted and he's in the safety field today. So the thing with Guyana is that you all are ripe for the picking then, right? It's not too much like Trinidad. Trinidad, you still have to like go through a bunch of interviews, right? Because there's so much of qualified persons in Trinidad. But in Guyana, once you all get this qualification, you are being, absorbed then into the HSE field. I know some of you all know Robert. Robert is actually a past student of mine. Anybody knows Robert? Yeah, Robert is a past student of mine, more than 15 years now, right? And I actually did not know he was in Guyana. And when I was in Guyana in November, I met another student of mine who was teaching for the New Guyana School, which was Namala, if anybody knows her. And I didn't even know she was in Guyana either, right? If anybody knows Namala as well. So here was I in November. This is my experience. I'm teaching that class in November and I'm looking at the back of the class. Robert and Namala is sitting in the back there. And I'm telling them, I feel as if it was 15 years ago because I remember, well, you all used to be in class and, I mean, a long time has passed since I ever saw you all, and then to see you all now back in the class, right? So I use Robert there because he's actually one example that you all may know. Because if I call Nikisia, you all may not know who Nikisia is. But Robert is somebody that you know who has come through the system. And today he is, of course, functioning as a safety and, of course, as a lecturer there at the new Guyana school, right? So let's move on a bit. So you all understand this a bit. So we are the Shadrach Safety Institute. We work with the New Guyana School. However, your course provider, the accredited provider is Shadrach Safety Institute. And who we are, we offer a range of NEBOSH qualifications. If I was to go down, you would see this. There's a range. By the way, you could get this page. All I did was put NEBOSH home in my search engine. And there's a range of qualifications, right? We have done the accident investigation for um, a company in Guyana, and I don't want to call the wrong name, so I don't want to say it, but it'll be shame on me because I can't remember it, right? Because I know I worked with them for a number of years in 2021, right? But I don't want to say Gisby because to me it doesn't sound like if it was Gisby, right? So the NEBOSH certificate, you all are doing the main cert. Look at here, there are other certs. The demand is not for these certs. When I mean the demand, the vacancy is not asking for the construction cert then. They're not asking for the processor to be employed. They're asking for the general certificate for employment, right? And of course, the diploma is there. Remember I said I'm like we have been in Guyana more than 5 years now, right? Like since 2020. This is 2024, since about 2019. And we have students in all of these courses. I have students in Guyana on this diploma course at the moment, right? I can call them my name. You may not know them, but I know I have Levi Carrington. I have there's another girl, right? But what happened? The other girl, she takes it online, right? What I mean, she's not in the live, takes the recording, right? She isn't in any of the live based on her preference anyway. So she takes the recording, other than being in the live itself anyway. So you can definitely see it's a range of courses. If you click masters as well, it's not just two. If you click these, six will open up. If you click this, six will open up. If you click this, six will open up as well, right? So it's a range of courses. However, as we mentioned, see if you understand that piece of it, that NEBOSH is not one course. It refers to a brand of courses. And the most demanded brand or the most demanded certificate for employment is the general certificate. Tell me if you get that piece of it. And we will take it from there once you understand that piece of it, right? So you're free to come back to us in any other of the levels, but you could do like Nikisia, or you could do like whichever student that you all know, right? If I have Janelle Lewis, right? I have Roderick, right? But you all don't know them anyway. But when you get in, those of us who want a career change, when you get in, you can come back and do the other levels, right? But for now, it's kind of like survival. For now, it's kind of like you want to get a better career, at least hopefully, right? Now, if you're doing this course not for a better career, fine. Perhaps you could use it for a promotion. Perhaps it's personal knowledge. But I know a lot of persons are being absorbed into the oil and gas sector, right? And again, like I said, you all are not the first, second, or third batch. You may be the third cycle for 2024, but I've actually lost count of how many batches we have had since we started across there in Guyana anyway, right? Um, Tell me if you have any questions on what you're looking at here. There's one thing or two things I want to mention before I move this slide out of here. And once you're okay with that, I would
What's that?
switch to something else that we have to talk about. Yeah. Any questions here?
What? Yes, I have it. You need
Delano,
WhatsApp
yeah.
right now?
Okay, Delano is a
Sorry.
question for us. Okay, no problem. Okay. Anybody else? Anybody else have any questions? Any concerns you're looking at this? And all right, if not, I'm taking it off. So one of the things we do in the very first class is tell you what is the meaning of NEBOSH, right? So you can find it on the homepage, but I'll tell you here as well if you want, you can take a note of it, right? Everybody says NEBOSH, NEBOSH, this is what they're looking for, right? What does it mean though, right? I mean, is it just, like a brand? Of course it is a brand, but every brand have a meaning, right? KFC, of course, there's some letters put together as well, but it does have a meaning, right? So NEBOSH actually has a meaning. And if you have a little bit more space than me, because I'm writing on this slide here, you can take down the meaning of NEBOSH, right? So what it stands for, it stands for the national, N is national, the national, you could write it down, right? National. The E is examination. So the national examination, right? The B is board, the national examination board. And I suppose you could guess the others, right? The national examination board. Well, between board and the O there is actually in the national examination board, in occupational safety and health. The National Examination Board in occupational safety. And please take a note of it. It makes no sense if you pass the qualification 4 months from now and you still don't know what NEBOSH is. So you pass NEBOSH, and which is good, and you get your career. But what does NEBOSH stand for, right? The National Examination Board in Occupational Safety and Health. Keep writing, huh? The other thing is that they are located in England, right? They are located in the UK. There's a reason for me telling you this. They are not located in Trinidad, and I am not NEBOSH. The New Guyana School is not NEBOSH. No one in the Caribbean or South America is NEBOSH. NEBOSH is located in the UK. The specific county, yeah, they say counties there just like Guyana, is called Leicestershire. I can spell that for y'all. It's L-E-I, right? L-E-I. If you're into football, you probably, if you're into, like English football, you probably have heard about him. You probably would have seen a jersey. Of course, most of us know about Manchester, right? But Leicester, they are very prideful about their football as well. They don't always win, but they did win. Yeah, they actually did win a tournament. They win one of those competitions. It was a very happy time for them, right? They did like a carnival in the streets of Leicester. Yes, Leicester is not in heaven. Leicester is in England. It's a real place, right? The demographics of Leicester is much like New York City. It's very cosmopolitan, mixed, population, right? It's like if you have gone to New York City, of course, very much cleaner. It's cleaner than New York, and it's probably safer than New York, right? So Leicester, the proper thing they say is Leicestershire. Shire is normally like a phrase they attach to all of their counties. So like Manchester is actually Manchestershire, right? Everything is like Shirefied then in the UK, right? So why did I tell you this? Well, what's the point in this? Well, that's where your paper is going. And that's where your certificate is coming from. It's not coming from Trinidad. It's not coming from Robert. It's not coming from the New Guyana School. It's not coming from Shadrach. You see, if it was, it wouldn't be worth the paper it's printed on. You know where I'm coming from, folks? This qualification, the opening page I had, if I can go back up to it, is that this qualification is globally recognized. We have to come back, I'll have to come back out of that, right? This is the real NEBOSH. You see up here, recognized. I don't know if you all seen it, right? Relevant, respected. Can you all see this page? It says globally recognized health and safety environmental qualification. This, students, is not TBOSH, right? So the New Guyana School, they do a version of NEBOSH called TBOSH. This is not that, right? This is not that. Let me see those of us who did TBOSH here. Which is the TBOSH? Yes, okay. Very good, very good, very good, right? So TBOSH is good. This is not that. TBOSH is good, but this is not TBOSH. This is not another version of TBOSH. This is the real NEBOSH. And Robert, many years ago, even before he made back contact with me, many years ago, 2019, 2018, what he was telling me is that when he introduced TBOSH to Guyana, he always had the plan then of offering the real NEBOSH. But like I said, at that time, I mean, I didn't even know he was in Guyana, right? It's only about 2019. He came back and he did another course with me. Robert did the process safety course with me, the level 4. And only when we met then he explained to me he was in Guyana working with a school there. And the aim was always to offer you all the real program, right? So what TBOSH did, and so what was it, right? So like what TBOSH did, TBOSH laid the foundation for the NEBOSH, right? And what Robert has been doing since we started to work on this since about 2020, Robert has been slowly tweaking his NEBOSH to resemble more of the NEBOSH. So if you did your NEBOSH project, the NEBOSH project is almost the same as the NEBOSH project. So the NEBOSH project is good preparation for the NEBOSH. Folks, so I know you all did your NEBOSH project, right? So like this time around, this year, not last year, this year, he used the same forms as the NEBOSH forms. Till last year, he was using a version of the forms, right? But when we spoke about it last year, this year, he started to closely resemble the NEBOSH, right? So if you did TBOSH, it's excellent preparation for the NEBOSH. However, with that said, it must be remembered that this is not TBOSH, right? And what that means, please take a note of this. I don't know how you remember this, but from day one to my last day, I say the same thing, right? Which is you have an exam to do. You have a project to do. And the reason for putting Leicestershire there or Leicester there is that nobody can help you, right? As much as I will check your project, I will check your draft, right? It is going to the UK for marking. So you can call back Robert. He could look at it, but he cannot pass you. He can't pass this one. He cannot pass you on this one. I cannot pass you on this one. If we could have, it wouldn't be NEBOSH. You'll just be getting another TBOS certificate. And you don't want that. You want the real NEBOSH certificate, right? So you all know, well, some of your CXC papers, you all do very well in CXC, right? Guyana tops the region in CXC. Do you all know that you top the region in NEBOSH as well? Do you all know that? I think the new Guyana school has that on their page. Have you all seen that? No? You're joking, right? Let me show you something a student sent me. Not that I send the students and a student sent me this. Right? This is a student sent me this message, right? A student sent me this. This is in the new Guyana school page, right? I'm sure you recognize the lady there, right? Barbara Welch, of course. That's one of my students there. That's a NEBOSH student. So when I say mine is actually a NEBOSH student, right? I'll tell you, I'll read the whole thing for you because you can't see all of it there, right? Maybe you can see the word NEBOSH or something, right? So this is one of the young ladies. Now when I say one, I mean just to be honest, because they all represent a different batch then, right? So she is one, but she was not in a recent batch. A student sent me this. He said he was going to the New Guyana School Facebook page or whatever, or web page, and he saw this, and it says here, congratulations are in order, NEBOSH General top performer. But I know this is just one student in one batch, right? We actually had a really good top performer. Her name is Janelle Lewis, if anybody knows her, and she had topped the region with the highest mark. Now, these are all Guyanese. These are not, when you say, okay, like what you're probably not understanding here is that when we say top performer, it isn't separated into Guyana or Trinidad. Like when you all are with me, we don't say you all are, because you all are not NGS students anymore. You're students of Shadrach Safety, right? Remember the accredited provider is Shadrach Safety. So we don't say the top performer in Guyana. We say the top performer in the region, right? The region includes, we have students from Grenada, Trinidad, Guyana. I have one in London. I have one student from the UK, right? I did have one from Montserrat. I did have one from St. Lucia, but they finished and they gone, right? But so when we say top performer, this is not top performer in Guyana. Now, she is in Guyana, so they given her an award, but is it top performer in the school then, in Shadrach Safety? Is it top performer, Janelle Lewis, is the top performer in February 2022 in the entire region then? Because it's only, well, I don't know if you all know this, right? So do you all know, I probably should have said that. So of the range of qualifications, if I click this back here again, I don't know if you can see you can let me know if you all seen the thing with awards, certificates, diplomas, and masters again. If you've seen it, very good. So we are the only provider of these. It doesn't have anybody else. Well, you may say, well, what about School of Nations? they don't offer all the programs, right? Do you all know School of Nations in Guyana? Yeah, they don't offer all the programs. So we are the only provider. Now, Trinidad had two others, right? I wasn't the only one. Um, it's a kind of sad story, but I'll tell you it because, I don't want you to think I'm not special. Like when you understand the story, you understand it have nothing to do with being special, right? So it had two other providers in Trinidad. There was one in Barbados, and that is also a sad story too. But the other two providers in Trinidad, they died. They passed away in the pandemic, right? So today I'm the only provider. Then, like if you wanted to do the diploma, there's only Shadrach Safety in the region. That's why I told you I have Guyanese students doing the diploma, not just now, years now, 5 years now, right? If you wanted to get into the masters, there's nobody else now doing it than Shadrach Safety. But it wasn't by choice then. It's kind of like by default. Two of the other providers, they got COVID and they passed away in the pandemic, right? The one in Barbados, he is sick, right? That's Tony Roger, Anthony Roger. Some people call him Tony, right? He is sick, so he has decided not to go through all of this headache with accreditation. So today I am left then, right? And so you have nations only offering a version of the certificate. And in Trinidad, there's actually another provider like Nations. They offer just one version of the certificate, but they don't go the distance then. They don't go throughout the program, right? So today I'm the only one. Nothing special about that to tell you. It's just that by default, that's just how it is. And that's kind of bad. Like when I say bad, is that if this course is in demand, there should be more places offering it. But why places are not offering it is because it is expensive. Yes, the monies you pay, we have to pay to NEBOSH. You're really not paying the New Guyana School, and the New Guyana School not really paying me. The money is just changing hands and it's going to NEBOSH. So it's expensive. And when I say expensive, now you may pay your school fees, but it's also expensive with respect to accreditation. If you can look on the wall up by me there, you'll see I have some licenses on the wall there, right? So to maintain those licenses are very expensive. And you don't have to do that if you were just offering a safety course. Like the University of Guyana doesn't really have to accredit anybody if they just print the cert for themselves, right? But this is not that. This is your real English qualification. This is your real NEBOSH. So a lot of people don't go into it because it's very expensive. And there isn't a pound and a crown then to make at this level of teaching. This is just like a teacher's salary. There isn't like a whole set of money to make at this level. So not a lot of people go into it. You make a fair good living out of it. I've been doing it for more than a decade now. I'll share on that another day. And I was able to build my home and whatever have you from scratch, right? But it took years, it took a decade, right? But it's not like a pong and a crumb. You don't get rich from offering NEBOSH, right? You can get rich from offering something that's easy. NEBOSH isn't that easy when all the monies are already paid, passing through hands from your hands to the New Guyana School to the Shadrach School, but then we are paying NEBOSH. So without the payment, nothing ever gets done anyway, right? Anyway, hopefully you understand that. So we are a course provider. Don't ever look at me to say that I can make you pass. If I could have made you pass, then in a way, it's not the real NEBOSH. I can guide you. I am like a coach. At the end of the day, you have an exam. After the coaching, you have to play the game. You have to write the exam and you have to pass, right? On a positive note, and there's so many positive notes in Guyana. The last Guyana class no, not the last. The first one I had for the year, their results came out already, and only one student did not pass. Now that student had a personal issue, which I'm not going to share, personal family issue, right? And so everybody has passed in the class. And they passed with really good grades at the same time, and some of them were kind of upset because they wanted a higher mark. But with NEBOSH, what you'll soon realize is that a pass is respected. A pass in NEBOSH means that you can take your certificate and get a job in Guyana, get a job in Trinidad, or get a job in Canada or the UK, right? Once you have it for life, and no one can take it from you once you have your NEBOSH qualification. You do not have to do it over. You don't have to do it over. Once you have it for life. It's like passing mathematics or passing CXC English. Once you have it for life, right? Let's talk a little bit about the exam, and I want to show you one as well. Let's talk a little bit about the exam. So I'm taking this off. If you have any question, again, please ask. Tomorrow evening, Tuesday evening, we will start some official teaching, right? We're going to use the PowerPoints for now. When you get your book, you would realize that the book is the PowerPoint and the PowerPoint is the book. What I put on the PowerPoint then is taken from the book and vice versa, right? Let me grab a marker here for you. So let's talk about the exam a bit, right? So
Yes, okay, talking about Shadrach.
yes, so some of you got it. Yeah, I know the new guy in the school had a couple extra copies, right? As I mentioned to you all, I saw the invoice of NEBOSH came back with a correction from NEBOSH, not from the new guy in the school, not from me. It's nobody's fault. It's something that happened in the UK. And I told Barbara, don't pay for the books because they said it's had an error on the invoice from the books, right? So these books, they are not available in any bookstore. They have to be shipped from the UK directly, and that still has to be done because there's an error on NEBOSH's part in terms of the invoice for the books for the new guy in our school, right? But as I mentioned to you all, what you'll realize, you wouldn't realize it today because you see, you all have been taught textbook, 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 but that is really secondary school. Tertiary education is a bit more about you. Tertiary education is a bit more about understanding. You'll realize what I said. I hope you're writing this down. You won't realize it until we do a question. And then you realize, wait now, I don't need my book really because I was the answer. The answer is in me. I'll show you what I'm talking about. The answer is in the question or the question paper. So I'll talk about that just now too, right? Let's take it at the top though, right? So at the top here, you have an exam to do. Please remember what I said. You could help yourself. We cannot help you. Miss Barbara cannot help you. If you call back Robert, he cannot help you. By the way, any AI software cannot help you either. You think it could, but it can't, right? So the exam is called an OBE, open book exam. And you'll soon realize too that the book being open doesn't really make a difference. You see what I'm talking about, right? By the end of chapter 1, by the end of probably next week, you'll see what I'm talking about, right? So it's called an open book exam, and you have 24 hours to get it done. The exam is typically on a Wednesday. All exams are on a Wednesday. And let me just check and see. We are starting in, well, we can say tomorrow is your first official start of work then. Right? Today's just like an orientation. Who we are, who NEBOSH is, what you're up against, right? So let's say you're starting in June, of course. June, you'll have class this week and next week. The week of the 24th, I am in Guyana, strange enough, but you can't have classes because I'm teaching something else, right? I'm actually doing face-to-face oil and gas training in that week anyway, right? So you have 24 hours to get the exam done. I was saying if it's June, July, August, September, your exam may be in October. And what happens coming to, yeah, we'll be finished by September, right? So exam will probably be the first Wednesday in October. But coming to October, the time zone in the UK does change. So like right now, the UK is 5 hours ahead of Guyana. So now it's like 20 to 7. So it's like 20 to 12 in Guyana. Sorry, in the UK now. 20 to 7 in Guyana, 20 to 12 in the UK now, right? But the time zone has changed to 4 hours coming closer to Christmas. So if it changes, your exam paper will be available then like from 7 a.m. Right now it's 6 a.m. Right now it's 6 a.m. to 6 a.m. because the time zone is 5 hours ahead, right? But if the time zone changes, right, the paper will be available from 7 a.m. My mistake here. 7 a.m. to 7 a.m. the following day. Yes, it's 24 hours. It's Wednesday into the Thursday. 7 a.m. of the Wednesday of the first Wednesday in October to 7 a.m. Thursday morning into the, well, Wednesday into the night then, right? So Wednesday whole day, Wednesday night into Thursday morning. I think it may be about 7 a.m. based on the time zone. If it remains at 6 a.m., fine, right? But it's 24 hours, 7 a.m. to 7 a.m. or 6 a.m. to 6 a.m. We can confirm that in October itself. You can just Google what's the time difference between Guyana and the UK, and you would know what time your paper would be available, right? So what they do, please take a note, they give you a link. Yeah, NEBOSH, not me, not the New Guyana School. NEBOSH should email you a link for you to click. And once you click on that link, they will give you a student number. Please take a note of that. Your student number, there are just two things to enter. Enter your student number, and they will give you a password as well. It would be like a Google password. Like if you're setting up a Google, like a Gmail account or something, NEBOSH is going to issue you a password. It's going to seem to be a bit, like a typical password, numbers and letters, right? So you could change that if you want. It's supposed to be password, right? WRD. So you could change that if you want. You could change the password if you want. So a lot of people, like when you enter the first time, you enter G, H, common T, common I, number 9, whatever. You can actually change it. The system will tell you change it if you want. You can change it to your name. So you could put, Delano, you could put Cassie, Tanisha, you could put your name as the password, right? If you want. And they send you this link a week before the exam. Please take a note of that. The next time you'll hear me talking about this is the week of your exam. Huh? So 4 to 5 months is not long. June, July, August, September, October is your exam. So from tomorrow, you'll see when we start talking work. We don't talk orientation. So please remember what we have on this slide. By the way, we are recording it. So when I create a WhatsApp group and put it, you'll see it, right? But so the next time you're hearing this is in September. Look, did you all remember you're supposed to get a link, a password? So you can change your password, and this is 1 week before the exam. So if the exam is next week, Wednesday, by this Wednesday, you'll get your link. You set it up, and all you do is that you wait. You cannot see anything. In fact, what you may see, if you click on it, you would see the October icon. You would see October 2024. You see the icon, but it's not active then. Like those kind of icons or those places where you try to click it, but you cannot click it. It'll be like that. It only becomes active 7 a.m. of the morning of the exam, right? So when you click it, please keep taking notes. If you're writing, I'm writing on the screen as well. When you click on the icon on that morning, you can download the paper. Please take a note of this. I join a download, but please write it better than this. You can download the paper, and then they give you a sheet to type on. We call that the template, the answer template. So you download the exam, I just put in your OBE, because that's the exam. That still is number 1. You download the exam, the OBE, right? And you download the template, which is what you're going to type on, right? And what you can do, what most people do, you come off the platform, the exam platform. You don't have to stay on it. Now, if you wonder why I mentioned this, let me finish the word template and I'll tell you. It's hard to talk and write at the same time, especially with this marker, right? So you download the exam, you download the template. And why you come off the system is because a lot of things happen in Guyana. Power outages, internet disruptions. So you don't have to stay on the platform. You will have the paper in your hand. I have some around enough, but I don't have it on this desk. Again, what happened when I came, remember I came, those who were early, I said I came straight from a job. We had some really bad weather, so I know it have flood. The place that I live normally floods out, right? Well, the street to get into my street. So I left all my computer. This is just the office computer, right? So like my personal briefcase and stuff is still in my car. But you'll have the paper in your hand, and I don't have one here. I have other exams. Like I have like IOSH. This is another course that we do. This is a course that I brought to Trinidad, IOSH Managing Safely. So this is actually scripts, right? But you'll have the paper in your hand and you'll have the template on your screen. So you can start to work then. There's no need to maintain a large amount of data or internet usage to do the paper, right? When you are finished, you have to upload the paper back on the same platform. So you have to click back the link again. You'll have to find your submit button. There's only one button there, it's just a download and upload. When you click the submit button, they will give you the option to browse your desktop or your documents, wherever you have it, you click it. Remember, you would have renamed it. You would have called it Cassie exam or Tanisha exam or is it Onisha? Onisha's exam. So what you name it as, you just click that and you upload it. And then that is how the exam day goes. It's very painless. It's very easy, but it is dependent on internet. Again, why I mentioned October, well, I was there in, I think I was there in October, November, and I do realize that you all have a very dry October. I think I was there in October. It was October last year, October into November. It's always 2 months. October into November, February into March. This time is June into July, right? But October tends to be dry for you all, isn't it? Kind of way. So
It
the reason
depends.
for it depends. When I was there, October was dry, right? So the reason for me saying this is because remember the other islands, right? Like Grenada and stuff. October I think is real bad for them. October, November is the peak of the hurricane season. So a lot of things happen in the islands then. You all are more or less like a continent. And for my time when I was there, October was more, I didn't get a day of rain. I walked through Georgetown. I do a lot of walking when I'm there. I went to the zoo, right? I walked down to Bakewell Bakery, right? I walked all over Georgetown anyway, right? And so I didn't get a day of rain anyway, when I was there. So maybe rain is not the issue, but then I know some students tell me power is an issue as well. So if power is an issue, well, download the paper, start working. Once your laptop has a fair charge in it, a fair amount of battery charge, you don't have to stay on the platform then. So please take a note of this because, like I said, we would never come back to this till September. It's only September you hear me saying, talking about the exam again. Every other day is work. Every other day from 6 o'clock to 7:30 is work. You would see what I'm talking about. Just like today is like this, every other day is work. NEBOSH is very heavy, right? It's very heavy. The exam, we're coming back to talk about the exam still is a bit heavy as well. Most people say this is the longest exam they ever do. Some people don't sleep. Some people, say they type whole night. No, that's possible, but I don't think it's necessary, right? A lot of people who say they wake whole night, um, may need to clarify something here for you all. So what we do at the end of the exam, we have an interview with the students, a one-on-one interview, right? So many people who say, like when I say a student say, I'm saying this is from the interview, right? Many people who say that they wake whole night when we ask certain questions. That's not the case. They started late. They started 9 o'clock. They started 10 o'clock. They went by a cyber cafe to print the paper. They didn't listen to what I said when I said buy a printer. So I'm telling you that please buy a printer as well. Print your paper, right? Then there are some of them who say, I had a student who told me that she took 2 naps in the day. Now, why did you take 2 naps in the day? Listen to why, listen to why. Because it was a day off. She took a day off. So she said, well, might as well just take a nap or take 2 naps in the day. So I am in agreement to take a nap, but you can take a nap when you finish. Take a nap when you finish, right? And Delano, you're laughing. I have some students who say, well, like they went to the mall then, right? So they went to Amazonia Mall or they did something else. They went out to their friends. We started 6 o'clock in the evening. I had a student who told me he started 9 o'clock in the night. So no wonder why you wake whole night. Now it is going to be, I do think, listen to what a lot of students, they finish. They finish by 3 o'clock, 3 p.m. in the evening. This is the Wednesday. They finish by 4 p.m. But they don't submit, which is good. In fact, I don't think you should submit either. Take a break, take a walk, head down to the mall, whatever have you, come back. And in the night, check over your paper. Have your dinner. If it's 8 o'clock, 7 o'clock, 9 p.m., you can check over your paper. So maybe you saw something you wanted to add. 10 p.m., check over your paper. So a lot of people do it like that. Around 11 and stuff is maybe time to submit, right? But what I'm telling you is that because you have the time, a lot of people use the time because people know, okay, you have to submit by 6 or 7 a.m. the following day. They check over, they make sure everything is okay then, right? So a lot of people do it like that anyway. Let's talk about that paper a little bit now.
Shadrach. So this
Yes.
paper we have to take off. We have to take off as a hard copy.
No, you don't have to take it as a hard copy, but there is a point in telling you a hard copy. As I said, today's orientation, you can't probably learn everything today. But the idea of printing the paper is a technique for the exam. You'll understand that as, I guess, the course go along, right? You see, what the exam is with a case study. The case study is about 2 pages long. I hope you're writing some things down, right? So one of the reasons why I said the answers are not too much in your book. Well, if the answer is not in your book, well, then where are the answers? One of the answers I said for that is that you are the answer. But another answer for that question is the answer is in the case study. Let me take up what I have on the screen here, right? I want to tell you something, so you can keep writing. A good way to think of this exam, a good way to think of the exam, I'm trying to share something with you, is the exam, please write this down as I tell you, to the same time, the exam is like a comprehension. Do you all remember doing comprehension in primary school, secondary school? Yeah. CXC English had some very long comprehensions, right? So your exam is like a comprehension. So what does that mean? I mean, if you remember doing a comprehension, in a comprehension, a lot of the answers are in the comprehension itself. Folks, you think you understand what I'm trying to get at? So the technique of printing the paper is that if you don't print the paper, watch what you'll have to do. Now, I mean, you can't see everything today, right? But I just kind of give you an idea. What you'll have to do with that case study is keep going like this. Going down, going back up. Going down, scrolling up. Scrolling down, scrolling up, right? Now, if you are looking for an answer, it's better that you print the paper. So printing the paper is a technique. So you have techniques to pass this exam. Let me share a little story with you from Guyana. So I had a student here. His name is Simon. Ashton Simon, if anybody knows him. Ashton Simon, right? And Ashton Simon, when I was describing what I was doing and how to answer a question, he said, well, passing the exam is like playing cricket. So I said, well, what do you mean? He said, well, there's a technique for cricket, right? So, you know, every sport have a technique, right? If you play basketball, well, I play basketball. Do you know, I mean, like if anybody play basketball or whatever is your sport, do you know that a good shot, like you could tell when a shot is going to score, like you could tell when it leave your hand, right? Have you all ever seen, I don't know if you look at any sports, but back in the day, of course, people like me who came through the 90s would have been influencing people like Michael Jordan, right? Anybody knows the name? You have Allen Iverson. Anybody knows Iverson? Allen Iverson, right? Of course, everybody sort of just remembers, you know, of course, the late, you know, Kobe Bryant, but you had other guys, right? And you would see you like some of these players, like they would play and when they if it's a 3 point, whatever it is, like when they release that ball, then they don't even have to watch. You don't even have to watch because you know it going in, right? And that is a state of a game too. So whatever game you play, if it's cricket, football, basketball, there's a state where you reach where it's a technique then, right? It's a technique. And you didn't have to watch that because you know that's going in. You know that ball is going to be like a spinner. You know the batsman cannot hit that, right? So passing exam is all about technique, right? And listen to me, there's more than one technique. As the course go along, I'm going to share some techniques with you all. Just like cricket, which you all are good at, just like basketball or football, if you follow the techniques, you will pass, right? Folks, boxing, you just can't start to go and, you know, release your hands, right? There's a technique, right? There's a technique. So passing exam, right? Passing this exam is a technique. You hear they say open book exam. But you know, NEBOSH is the standard and it's not going to be an easy exam. So what's the technique? Is it that they want you to just open the book and write back words? No. That's what I tell you in the beginning. The book ain't going to be much help to you. The book going to help you a little bit, but the book isn't much help to you. The biggest help to you is the case study itself. And you have to understand what I am teaching. Right? This is not, tertiary education is not secondary school. In secondary school, they will tell you draw and label the structure of the digestive system. You just draw it and you just label back and you get 20 out of 20. This is not that, right? In this level of safety, you have to understand what I'm teaching you, right? So I want to show you a question just now, but let me just discuss two things with you again before we get into that. So this is Janelle Lewis' paper. This is a gynae. She's actually in, I don't know, I can't remember the name of the company, but the year when she did this exam, there was a graduation program for her, and she was given not the one you saw on the phone. That's another student, that's another gynae, right? Janelle Lewis topped the region in NEBOSH, right? And I think that picture too may be in the or on the New Guyana School Facebook page, right? She got the highest in the region. Anyway, let's talk about something here. So after all of that, right? Well, what's the pass mark? What's the pass mark? You'll be shocked, but you'll soon understand the shock when you start doing class assignments for me. Now, no class assignment
So
carries
what
any
is the pass
marks for
mark?
your exam. Yes, go ahead.
What is the pass mark?
But as I'm going to tell you now, so the pass mark is 45. Somebody will say 45. That's easy to get. It is
That means
not
that the
easy
exam is
to get.
extremely difficult.
Yeah. So why is it difficult, right? So why is this 45 easy to get, but something is easier to pass? Why is it that you know somebody could get 100 in another course, but they're struggling to pass NEBOSH? There are some people who come here, not too much Guyanese, but some of maybe some Trinidadians, because Guyanese do very well. As I told you before, the year when the class that Janelli was in, everybody passed 100%. The class after her, which was the second class in 2022, 100% passes. Everybody passed. This year, we already third batch. The first batch results came out already. 94%. One person failed based on a family issue that they were going through and couldn't deal with the exam, right? So 94%. So people are passing it, right? People are passing it because they follow the technique, right? But what I'm saying is that they don't get 100 out of 100. You don't get 100 out of 100. If I had to give it, I would give it. If Robert had to give it, he probably give it. But not NEBOSH. They don't give you out 100 out of 100. So what they do, right? Please take a note of this. What they do, they give you 1 mark for each point that is correctly shown or correctly demonstrated. They give you 1 mark. So it's like playing cricket. That's what Ashton Simon said. It was like a game of cricket. It's like the other team, they have gone in and they have batted already. And they got 45. You now is your turn to bat. And for you to win, you have to get more than 45. Right? So the pass mark is 45. But when you hit the ball then, it's not a 6 you're hitting, it's 1 you're hitting. Right? So you have to hit 45 ones then to pass. And like Janelle Lewis, you had to hit 79 if you want to get 79, right? So for every ball you hit, for every line you write, you only are tracking 1 mark. Folks, you think you understand the difference? At another college or another institute, which is not NEBOSH, maybe the New Guyana School, or maybe the University of the West Indies, which is not very famous in Guyana. So maybe the New Guyana, sorry, not the New Guyana School. Maybe the University of Guyana, you could write a whole page. You could write this whole page. Let's imagine this to be a page. And if this page have one good point that is elaborated on very nicely, at the new, it's not the New Guyana School, at the University of the Guyana, the teacher, the lecturer could give you an A. Or they can say 100 out of 100. NEBOSH is not like that. What NEBOSH is going to do, Leicestershire, what the examiner is going to do, they're going to read that line, they're going to read that page. And if you have 1 point inside there that is correct, they'll give you 1 out of 100. So how do we get more points? Well, this is what you do. You could write in point 4, right? So for NEBOSH, please take a note of that. And you'll see Janelle paper now. You'll see her paper before we close today, right? So what you can do, the number of points you write is proportional to the marks. So if something is worth 10 marks, then you give them 10 points. If something is worth 20 marks, you give them 20 points. If something is worth 18 marks, you give them 18 points. Something is worth 15 marks, you give them 15 points. And each of the points, now when I say point, that's not the right word to say. I cannot say point so that you picture it to be not a paragraph. But the proper thing to say is lines. Each of your answers must be about 3 to 4 lines long. And if this answer is 3 to 4 lines long, that is correctly answered. I'll show you how to do that too. Can't show you everything one day, right, folks? There's some things they look for in these lines, right? But for now, we just getting the idea that to get the 45, you have to 1 line. If you write 1 line, you wouldn't get a mark. Here the funny thing with NEBOSH, right? If the answer is correct, but it's not clearly demonstrated, you get no marks for it. So you could fail NEBOSH and have the correct answer. Let me give you a simple one, right? Because I know this is one you may be able to relate to, those of us who maybe did the NEBOSH program. And if not, I will teach you something in the next 4 minutes anyway, right? So a very common question for NEBOSH is something called safety culture. Listen to it, safety culture. Every company you go to have a culture. Every school you came from, your primary school, had a culture. Yeah? Your secondary school had a culture. Your secondary school may have been perceived to be a good school. So why was it good? The passes were high, the teachers taught well, it was safe, it was secure, etc. Right? So every company have a culture, right? So one of the questions they like to ask is, So even though today is your first day, I'm actually telling you a past paper question that actually could come for you in October, right? So one of the questions they like is, what are the negative indicators of safety culture? You should write it down because it wouldn't change. What are the negative indicators of safety culture? Some sit-ins, they ask, what is the positive indicators of safety culture? Right? Now remember, you have a case study. You have a 2-page case study to take those answers from. Folks, you understand? And you have a passage, you have a comprehension. So in the comprehension, I say comprehension, but that's my version of saying it. In the passage, it will say, listen to some things we have seen, right? It will say, the young apprentice was using their phone while operating the forklift. I'll say it one more time. The young apprentice was using their phone while operating the forklift, right? So that's a negative indicator. However, you have to say that. You have to write it in a sentence. You have to say, in my opinion, a negative indicator of health and safety culture at the company is the young worker was not adhering to safety rules, full stop. So that's us making up like 2 lines. The other 2 lines, you have to quote it from the passage. It's like a comprehension. You have to quote from the case study to support your answer. Folks, I hope you'll write it. If you do not quote, if you don't put the quote, even if the answer is correct, you'll get no marks for it. So what gives the mark is a combination. See if you can take this out. What gives the mark is a combination of the answer together with the supporting lines from the passage. If you have this combination, if you have that knockout blow there, then you get the 1 mark that is available for that particular point. Now, a lot of you all understand that because how it is, Guyanese passing. Coming down on the road today, I had one of my coordinators on the phone, and she was saying, you know, what's wrong with Trinidadians? Why don't they listen? Because the Guyanese listen. We just have to tell you all this once and you always do it. Trinidadians, and worse yet, Grenadians, don't listen at all. If it had a curve, Guyana would have been to the top of the curve, Trinidad in the middle, Grenada in the end of the curve in terms of following instructions, right? So once you have, folks, this doesn't change. Today, your first day. Mark my words, the last video we record, I'm going to tell you the same thing. The last class we have in September before the exam, I would say, please remember, the pass mark is 45. To pass the exam, you must give them the number of points. If they say 10 marks, it's 10 points. What makes up a point is that you must have the answer and you must support the answer with the line. If you have the lines alone, so some people do that here in Trinidad, they put the lines alone. The line is, the apprentice was seen using his phone while operating the forklift. It's correct, but you get no marks because what you did, you just throw 1 punch. You have to throw a combination to win, right? Or you have to hit a point guard, a 2-point followed by a 3-point, right? So you have to hit that combination to win. Once you have that, hey folks, you will pass. That's what Janelle Lewis did. It had people after her too, you know. It had a lady called BB. Can't remember her last name. Got the highest 2 in Guyana. Highest in the region. I mean, to say Guyana is wrong because it's the highest in the region, right? What if you want, today I'm showing you Janelle Lewis paper. Tomorrow I want to teach, but next week, if you have time, we could open another student paper. BB is not can high. What happened? It had 2 BBs. There was a BB in my class. I had a class that finished last week. So there's a BB can high in that, but it's not her. It's another BB. And she understood that. And in every one of her answers, she will put, in my opinion, in my opinion, and she started up the sentences like that. In my opinion, the negative indicator is poor housekeeping. Full stop. This is seen in the case study where it was mentioned, and you could quote the lines. There are boxes and cords, extension cords left in the walkway. Once you hit them, that combination, you're going to pass. This is going to get 1 mark. I think the marker disappeared, right? This is going to get 1 mark. This is going to get 1 mark. And of course, if you go down straight to 10, you are going to get the mark, right? Tell me what you think. So what you need to understand is that there's no big set of passage writing. In fact, let's take a look at generally paper. You need to hit them the combination of answer and the line. Where the line coming from? The case study. You understand why I said no, you have to print the paper? Because if every time you have to scroll up to find that line, it's easier to find the line than if you have a pencil in your hand. I don't have a pencil in front of me, so I'm using a pen. But it's easier to find the line if you have the paper printed. This is not a, this is a blank page, and you're looking for the line. You're looking for the line that said they didn't follow rules, right? So you find the line that said the apprentice was using his phone while operating the forklift. You understand that? I have different names of the techniques, right? So as the course go along, you hear me saying different names. One of the name is a needle in the haystack approach. You have to read the haystack. You have to look for the line in the haystack then to support it, right? And then sometimes you just have to be so that's what takes the time. If you wonder, well, what's taking them so long? Right? What's taken so long? It's about 7 or 8 questions, yes? Please take a note of that. The exam is only about 7 or 8 questions. So what's taken so long? What's taken you so long? Well, Cassie, what takes long is to find those magical lines. You have to read this thing and to find the line. So if you say a negative indicator is a high accident rate, right? You have to go through that haystack and find now, because you have to say, you have to quote something, you have to have that combination. If you have the answer alone, please remember, if you have the answer which is correct, they will still give you 0 marks. So you have all the correct answer, but you fail. I have students in Trinidad that come here and say that, they say, sir, look, I did a good paper. Is this answer correct? I said, yes, it's correct. But you fail, you get 37. Why you get 37? Because if you watch your thing, you didn't put the supporting line, right? So where were you when we said this? And by the way, we do lots of past papers, right? Next week we'll be doing a past paper. Tomorrow is my first teaching day. So after we put one good day behind us, we should be able to do our past paper, right? So I was like, so where are you in all the classes? Where are you in all the classes where we said from the very first day to the very last day, you must have that combination? Where were you? Well, come back and repeat. And that's what she had to do. She had to come back and repeat until they get it. But you don't have to repeat. Just do the thing the way they want you to do it. Every game have its rules there, right? So yes, when you were at the New Guyana school, Robert has his way of how he wanted his answers, right? If you studied at the New Guyana school, sorry, keep mixing that up. The University of Guyana, do what the lecturers there want you to do, right? In this case, it's not what I want you to do, but it's what NEBOSH wants you to do. I really don't want you to do nothing. I just want you to pass. But to pass, I am the coach then. To pass, to box then, or to do a good game, a good cricket, basketball, there are some things you have to do. You have to know technique. You can't be like, you cannot be like my good friend. You'll probably hate me for this one, huh? You can't be like LeBron James. LeBron James don't have a good technique at all. You ever see LeBron play basketball? You ever see LeBron James play basketball? You know what traveling is? You know what traveling is in basketball? LeBron James has been traveling. You know what traveling is? Traveling is against the rules. You're the one I'm talking about. Traveling is when you have the ball and you're not bouncing it. LeBron James has been traveling. This is a known fact. He have a poor technique, but he big, so he could score. You know who Shaq is? Shaquille O'Neal. You know who Shaq is? You all know who Shaquille O'Neal is? Shaq. He has a shoes, by the way. You all know Shaq? You ever see Shaq hit a free throw in your life? Shaquille O'Neal could never hit a free throw in his life. Poor technique. How can a man play basketball all his life and not hit a free throw? If you don't know what it is, when you stand up, nobody a contestant here, right? And you just shoot in like two. That's a free throw, right? Shaq cannot hit a free throw for like to save his life. Poor technique. If you were dependent on him to win the game in free throws, you lost. But if you were dependent on Michael Jordan to hit a 3-point and save you in the 0.01 seconds, he would, right? So playing a game, whatever game have rules, and it's all about technique. So learn the technique and you'll pass. Let's have a look at you'll probably disagree there, right? A lot of people in this generation love LeBron James. I like him, but I don't like him that much. Most people in my generation don't like him either, right? If you're the younger generation, you grew up with him, and we don't like him because of technique. We don't like him because of technique. He has poor technique, right? All right, let's take a look at Janelle's answer here. Let's find out a so-called good question. So by the way, this is not the question paper. What I decided to do today was not show you a question paper, but to show you the answers then in the effort that you would see that it's kind of doable, right? So look the question here. Number 7 was on the health and safety culture, right? Notice how she answered. Is this in a passage format? Is it in a passage or not a passage? It's not a passage. You're seeing that, right? Let's take a look at how much answers she has. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So what does that mean? What does that mean? How much marks that question went for?
Well,
How much marks the question went for?
20.
Yeah, this was a 20 mark question.
mark.
So she gave them, very good, Ilana, right? She gave them 20 answers. Let's see, let's take a read of it and see if she hit the right combination, right? Now, remember, she did not get 100, so not every line we read here is correct. Plus, I was never her marker in the first place. But some of these are correct because I think she got 79, and that's a high pass anyway. Let's read the first one, right? A negative indicator of health and safety culture is a lack of trained staff. So that's the answer. Please remember, I took it off from here. You must have the double combination. That's the answer. The answer is a lack of trained staff. Think about it. Stop a bit. Watch away from the screen. Think about it. A negative safety indicator. What's negative about a company? They have a lack of trained staff. That's correct. That's correct, right? But read the next piece. You see, so you have to now put the line or put something from the case study. So you say, which is evident with a very short induction. Now, where did she get? That's the magical line that I referred to as. Where did she get that from? She got it from the passage. Listen to this question, right? I'm going to ask you. Did she get it from the textbook?
No. Well, what should have got it in the textbook is the information to know
Correct.
that it is a negative culture.
Yeah, lack of trained staff. Yeah, and so
passage would have.
Yeah, very good. So when we teach you, what you'll realize is that so the teaching here or the reasoning here is, and I'm really not teaching this, right? But I'm just telling you, a negative safety indicator is anything that is bad in the company, right? So in a way, when you read the passage, if something sounds kind of off, then that's a negative indicator, right? So you can actually Google it. You can actually Google what are, I'll do it and I'll show you. Can you use Google for the exam? Yes. Can you copy from Google? No. If you copy, will they catch you? Yes. Have they caught students before? Yes. Have they caught students in Guyana? Yes. You see, you had to be smart. I'm going to Google, right? I'm trying to get the page to line up to be a blank page. These iPhones are very miserable. Okay, so back to Google, right? So it's clean, the screen is clean. So you could Google I'm going to show you what I'm Googling, right? What are some negative indicators Trinidad? I put what is negative, and it put up what is negative about carnival. You know, Trinidad is big in carnival, which is second thing, right? What is negative? You can see that. What is negative about carnival? I don't know if you can see that, right? Anyway, it wasn't that a good type, right? What are some negative indicators of health and safety culture? So that's what I type. Watch it what I type. So yeah, you could use Google, right? But you can't copy from Google what you can get. You could actually take the point from it. You had to be smart, right? So they have here 25 negative indicators of health and safety culture. I'm trying to open it and I want to show you. So could you use the answers from here? The answer is yes, but you cannot copy it and paste it, right? What you have to do, you could use the point, but remember you have to hit them the combination. If you use Google for the answer, that's okay. If you use your textbook for the answer, that's okay, but you have to tie in the lines. Plus, you have to tie it back in the passage because remember, it is a comprehension. Let me show you what they said here, right? One of them they said is a high employee absenteeism. So the question you ask yourself, is that a correct answer? Is employee absenteeism a negative safety indicator? Yes, it is. So you can use that, but don't say it back the same way. You can start your line. You can say, in my opinion, a negative indicator at company X is that is a high number of staff leaving or absenteeism. Full stop. So you kind of internalize it and you kind of set it back in your own ways. And then you go through the haystack and you find something that says, you say, this is shown in the case study, next sentence, right? This is shown in the case study where it was mentioned that the injured employee would not be on work for the next 2 months. That's the combination. That's the winning combination. Folks, you think you understand it? Tell me yes or no? So here the thing, right? NEBOSH. I'll show you another one just. I'm just trying to make a point today so that we don't stress on this too much tomorrow, right? NEBOSH is like a double-edged sword, right? Everybody wants it. It's the accredited course, it's the real thing. Everybody wants it, right? But you have to earn it. And there is no shortcut in earning it. It's like a boxing match. You had a fight. You had to do something. You have to sweat then, right? But it's not excessive. It's not really much. It may take you a good whole day, but when you get it for life, right? But there's no shortcut state, right? There's no shortcut state. The reason for that, I'm telling you, NEBOSH is a world-class organization. They have software that they pick it up, that picks up plagiarism. They are very serious with it, right? They have a whole department that's been working on plagiarism. So I'll tell you a story again. A good student friend of mine, we talk all the time during the class. He's not in the cycle that just finished. He's a previous cycle this year. They caught him in plagiarism. Now, I didn't even know because I don't remember the day of the exam. You download your paper, you upload your paper, right? But what he used, you all know what Chat GPT is? You ever hear about Chat GPT? Okay, that's very good. Keep it that way. Keep it that way. Forget I even tell you that. Forget I was just talking nonsense here, right? Anyway, that particular app is a writing app. You see how Google bring up these answers like this? You see how Google bring up the answers like that? Chat GPT does actually write it out for you. This is a fairly good paragraph. Again, you have a good paragraph there, right? But Chat GPT does write it for you. But here the thing, NEBOSH have software to pick up Chat GPT. and they quote him. He just took everything like this. He didn't tighten it, and you could have taken the point. There was nothing wrong if ChatGPT brought up the point, a negative safety indicator. Let's use one here from Janelli, right? Let's use number. I'm trying to find a different one, right? Let's use number. I'm trying to find a nice one that she have, right? Number 11 or number 10, right? So Google or ChatGPT would have brought up the answer. A negative indicator of health and safety culture is no accident investigation. Well, use that, but don't copy the whole thing, because remember, this is not going to Robert. It's not coming to Shadrach in Trinidad. It's not in the region. We don't have that kind of software, but England have. And by the way, it's not just any cause. It's NEBOSH, the #1 brand in the world. Not in Guyana, not in Trinidad. The fact that we have it here. How it is that NEBOSH is the #1? How it is the accent for NEBOSH in Guyana? Doesn't NEBOSH have the University of Guyana? How it is the accent for NEBOSH in Trinidad? Doesn't Trinidad have the University of the West Indies? How come we still accent for it here in this part of the world? South America and the Caribbean down here, the least, Trinidad is the least of the islands anyway, coming down the southern chain. How is it asked for here? Because NEBOSH is the standard. But if it's the standard, you have to understand that they know what they're doing, right? So there is no shortcuts. There is no paying off the boxing match then, and you pay the next person to take a hit, right? You have to do the thing. And the point I was trying to tell you, folks, watch line 10. Is that so hard to write? That is not so hard to write. By the way, this could be one of your questions. They always bring a question on culture. What Janelli did here, was this rocket science? It is not. A negative indicator of health and safety culture is no accidents or no investigating of accidents seen. And this is the tie into the case scenario when the sales supervisor witnessed a harmless looking incident and did no investigation of the incident. Where did the back line come from? That second line came from the passage. But do you understand? This is not mathematics we're doing, right? This is not something extremely hard. This is something achievable, and everybody here should pass this exam because it's nothing hard. If Janelli Lewis could have done it, who was not in safety, then you all can do it. She's not writing excessively. I mean, if you put all together, it's a lot of typing, look at that. But you understand how they mark 20 for 20, 10 for 10. So you have to give them the number of points. If you do it like this, you will pass exam. In fact, the saying goes, if you are a novice and you have a good coach and you know to put up your hands and to throw a jab, you might know everything in boxing, but you stand a chance of winning. You might know everything in football or cricket, but you could probably hit a 3-point. You probably know how to dribble a little bit, unlike LeBron James, and you could probably score, like a 2-point, right? So you stand a good chance in preparation if you understand the technique, not talent. Passing this exam is not talent. Passing this exam is not being bright either. If you're not bright, this is the right place to be. So you don't have to be bright to pass NEBOSH, right? Bright people don't make it long in life. Who make it long in life is determined people. Bright people don't make it long in life. They suddenly burn out. Who bright in secondary school, they're not bright again in life, right? But determined people make it, right? Determined people make it. Let's read the last one here. A negative indicator of health and safety culture is no compliance with safety regulations. So that's the answer. Let's see the tie-in line now, which is evidence when the sales supervisor stated that there was no need for frequent fire drills, although, and this is a direct quote she's given, although the compliance obligation to inform, check, learn, and improve through fire drills was mentioned, but I guess it wasn't done. See, you cannot tell me that's a hard question. You cannot tell me that's a hard question. Watch number 8. Right now, all of them easy, It's not one of them easy. All of them easy. But you have to cover the work, right? Once you cover the work, it becomes easy. Let me take it fine. So there's a word come to the end here. NEBOSH says 3,000 words. We tell the students, please cross it. there's no penalty for crossing it. In fact, you are normally rewarded if you cross the word count. 3.5 is good, 3.8 is good, right? They say 3,000 words, but most students end up getting like BB, the other student I told you, BB had 4,500 words. Was she penalized? No. Was she fined? No. She got the highest. That's what happened to her. Right? So don't worry about the word count. Don't start to count words. Don't count nothing. Type your work and do your work. Give the answers, tie in the lines. If you see 3,800 words, you see 3,700 words, don't worry about that. You see 4,500 words, 4,100 words, don't worry about that. Nobody is penalizing you for crossing the word count. It's just a guide. Right? So let's bring the curtain down on this. Now, we did actually not mention everything, but I like to start the first class like this, the orientation about the exam itself, right? There is actually a project you have to do, but we would work with you with the project. However, we do not mark the project. So the project itself, you pass the certificate when you are successful on the exam and on the project. The project, if you did the NEBOSH course, as I mentioned at the top of the hour there, Robert is using the same NEBOSH forms right now. The only difference is Robert and Shadrach not correcting it and going to England. Right? So it have to be good. And we will check your drafts for you. A long story short is that NEBOSH give you a sample. You get a sample. Those of us who did the NEBOSH course, you all did not get a sample, did you? Did you get a sample for NEBOSH? No, right? But Robert, that's the way they do it, right? But NEBOSH will give you a sample. So you get a sample and you get a guide, plus you get me, you get a class, you get a video teaching you step by step what you have to do. In addition to that, we check your drafts, right? We do not do it for you. That's the other thing. And some students, misinterpret what we say in here that Shadrach would type a line for you. No, we are typing that. I will tell you what you need to do. So when we check your draft will have corrections. You'll have to fix them. If you follow this sample though, you probably won't have much correction, probably 2 corrections at the most. If you start to do your own crazy things, as what some people do, right? Like doing your own crazy thing is like, like you put in a direction on your phone, like you're heading up, somewhere in Guyana, and you put a direction on your phone, and Waze or Google Maps saying go this way, but you going that way, right? The directions that take a left, you take a right. You're doing your own craziness, right? So if you follow the sample, that's what it's called. A sample is an example. If you follow the example, we wouldn't have much corrections to give you, right? The class that just finished last week was their exam, the 5th of June. Folks, I tell you all, there's something about Guyanese that you all follow instructions, right? We did not have much corrections with the Guyana class. 2 corrections, 1 correction. You all know anybody in those classes? I have a guy called Oliver. I have somebody called Sharada. I had somebody called Sharida. Folks, I had somebody called Mir Khan. Yes, Cassie?
How is the risk assessment going to be conducted?
It's the same. Oh, the risk assessment can be done at home. You don't have to go anywhere. You can just make up the hazards.
So what about physical?
You can make it on a company you work in or that you previously worked in, but there's no need to go anywhere. The project, and Cassie, you would know, the project is like some sheets of paper to fill out, right? So you can just fill it out because you have a sample and you have yours to fill out. So in that sheet, they ask you for the date. So you could put the date. They ask you for the number of employees. You could just make up a number of employees. Now, it is best you base it on something sort of real, like a place that you worked in. But because you have an example, you can just make up your project. There's no need to get any special permission to go to Exxon. There's no need to get any special permission to go anywhere. You can just make it up from the sample. When I teach you it, I'm going to make up a couple as I teach you it. Yes, Cassie?
What about, for example, actually putting out a fire?
In what sense?
So not risk assessment, but putting out a fire would be something that, with an extinguisher, would be something that we would have to learn, right? How is that going
No,
to be
not really,
physically
no.
conducted? It's not going to be done.
No, putting out a fire, you need to do what I showed you a video today. I was showing Cassie a video today because she was in my last class. That I did a fire watch course today. I can show the class it, right? But NEBOSH is not going to teach you to use a fire extinguisher. To use a fire extinguisher, in other words, and let me kind of say this, NEBOSH is a little bit more academic. NEBOSH is a little bit more higher than if you want to learn to use a fire extinguisher, then you do a course that is about using a fire extinguisher. Let me just find that video for you all. So this is one I did today. I did also manual handling today. Oh, I lost it just now. I lost it just now. So yeah, those physical things like putting on a harness, working on a scaffold, this course is not going to teach you that. If you want to learn to do a scaffold course, go and do a scaffold training course. It have, like we do that, like this I tell you, I did this today, right? Oh, sorry. See that. So this is fire extinguisher training, if you can see that. A bit closer to the base, students as well. Yeah. NEBOSH is not teaching you that. This course is not teaching you to use a fire extinguisher, right? If you want to learn how to set up a scaffold, go and do a scaffold course. NEBOSH is more academic. What it teaches you is to become a safety advisor or a safety officer. Yes, folks, you think you guys want to get in that? You want to do rigging and banking,
Okay.
go and do a rigging and banking course. NEBOSH, the 4 months can't teach you the world of safety then.
So the NEBOSH is mostly theoretical. Now for practical, if we do have, because we're going to be safety persons, right? If
Yeah.
we do have a situation where fire needs to be put out and we don't have the training to use an extinguisher,
Well,
how are we backing out?
well, that's
So
up
we
to you
definitely
because
gotta do
because
extra
you
work.
should have gone and done a fire extinguisher course. That's what I'm saying. If you know you're applying to be a safety, right? This course is not going to teach you first aid. It's not teaching you to do CPR. So you are safety. Same example, Cassie. So somebody fall along there and you have your NEBOSH, but you didn't learn to do CPR in NEBOSH. You had to go and do a CPR course, a CPR AED course. NEBOSH, you see, this is just the certificate to become a safety. There's a lot more things you need to learn to become competent then. You understand? So yes, go and do a fire watch course. So call me. I'll come and do it for you. You want to learn to do rigging and banking. What is the symbol? Boom up, boom down, stop, emergency. Go and do a rigging and banking course. You want to learn to set up a scaffold, go and do a scaffold course, right? But you see, the companies are asking for the NEBOSH certificate because it is what qualifies it to be a safety, but it's a general certificate. You as a safety, you can go and add to your qualification by adding these one-day courses you see here, right? Rigging and banking, 4 hours. Fire watch or fire warden training, 4 hours. Manual handling, I did that one day, I did that today too. If you could find a picture, I'll show you, right? Manual handling, look, I had this done today too. Right? Is NEBOSH going to teach you to pick up something like that? How to do proper manual handling technique? No. But this is a manual handling training course. And you can adjust and hold it close to you because the closer to you, the better. The sense of gravity comes to you. Yeah. Yeah. Adjust. Yeah. So the bottom line here, a 4-month course cannot teach you everything. Folks, you understand that? Does that make any sense? A 4-month course cannot teach you the world of safety, right? What it teaches you is how to become a safety advisor, safety officer. But you now, to improve on your skill, go and do a first aid course or call me, I'll come and do it for you, right? I know I think Namala does that. They want to do like I said, a scaffold course, ladder safety course, rope rescue courses. Go and do that. But the NEBOSH is going to put your foot in the door, right? The NEBOSH is going to put your foot in the company's door. But when you're there, don't feel as if you know everything. It's only 4 months you had. Learn more, do more, right? Nikita. Nikita?
Hi, good night.
Hi.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you with a
Hello?
bit of delay. Yes, yes, I can hear you. Yeah.
Hi. What I'm understanding. Okay, what I'm understanding is more aware of what the safety hazards or gaps might be in a specific place. And from there, we can, well, being a safety advisor or officer, we can take steps to ensure that those things are remedied if we need training in an area, because nobody knows how to use a fire drill, including myself. We organize to have that done in wherever you are situated.
Yes, right. So NEBOSH has a syllabus. I think we would have emailed that syllabus to you all. So that is what we cover. I cannot teach what I want to teach in NEBOSH. I have to teach what NEBOSH have on their syllabus, right? So I think that a good way to think of it is that like how I said, 4 months is not enough to learn everything, but it's a nice start. It's what gets your foot into the door. And while you are there, please improve yourself. That's why I told you, Nikisia. Remember, I spoke about Nikisia, who did her NEBOSH. She got in the company. But why did she come back and do process safety? Process safety is about plant safety, right? Why did she probably, I mean, but I know she spoke about first aid, but she didn't come back to me for that. She probably used somebody in Guyana, right? So, like, 4 months, it's like 4 months to get you certified, to get you ready for the job. But when you get in there, like I said, don't feel too proud, doing feel good. Yes, you get a good job, but you and yourself know that, okay, I think I have to do something here, and definitely source a first aider, source somebody to do first aid training for you all. Go and do that, because this course is not going to teach you to do how to use a automated external defibrillator. This course is not going to teach that. How to tie a bandage, how to tie, a certain sling. This course is not going to teach that. You can't in 4 months, right? It's not on the syllabus. Check the syllabus and you'll see, right? Okay, folks, so we stop there for tonight. As I mentioned to you all, today was one of those days. You all see for yourself where I was today. This week too, Thursday, I'm doing some first aid training, right? For a company as well. Let me stop the recording. I still have to get home